Here.
Jimmy Wolliver,
Present.
Mary Johnson,
Present.
Doris Arthur,
Present.
Attorney Billy Osterman.
Present.
Mayor, we do have a quorum, and I will turn the meeting over to you now.
Okay, this is our regular meeting of the Board of Mayor and Aldermen. This is April the 2nd. Our first item on the agenda is the approval to accept the video conference in place of the physical meeting. So what we're going to do, I'm going to ask all the board members, when we have a motion in a second, if you state your name, so we can record that. And then what we'll do is we'll go down and do a roll call. And at that time, when I call your name out with the response of yay or nay. So do I have a motion for the approval of this accepted video meeting?
I move to approve. This is Sherry McClintock. I move to approve this procedure to accept the video conference in place of physical meeting.
Doris Arthur, I second it.
Okay, we'll start the roll call with Sherry McClintock,
Yes.
Jimmy Wolliver,
Yes.
Mary Johnson,
Yes.
Doris Arthur.
Yes.
That's all four in favor, Scotty.
Yes, ma'am.
Next on the agenda, we have the approval of the February financials. This will be some of the
This is-
items in this meeting, where last meeting we did not have a quorum, so we will have information from February and March as well.
This is Mary Johnson. I move to approve the February financials as they were presented.
This is Sherry McClintock. I second the motion.
Roll call for this, Sherry McClintock,
Yes.
Jimmy Wolliver,
Yes.
Mary Johnson,
Yes.
Doris Arthur.
Yes.
All four
Yes,
passed.
ma'am.
The next item on the agenda is the approval of the March financials.
This is Sherry McClintock. I move to approve the March financials as presented.
This is Mary Johnson. I second.
We'll go through the roll call. Sherry McClintock,
Yes.
Jimmy Wolliver,
Yes.
Mary Johnson,
Yes.
Doris Arthur.
Yes.
All four passed, Scotty.
Yes, ma'am.
Next, we have the approval of the February 6th minutes.
I move to approve.
This is Mary Johnson. I
Doris
second.
Arthur, I second.
Roll call, Sherry McClintock,
Yes.
Jimmy Wolliver,
Yes.
Mary Johnson,
Yes.
Doris Arthur.
Yes.
All four passed, Scotty.
Yes, ma'am.
Next, we have to approve the special called minutes on February the 20th, which everyone should have received a copy. This was dealing with, it was a special called meeting that was approved for the final reading to rezone the property at 101 Newtown Road. And that was changing from the commercial to low density residential.
This is Sherry McClintock. I move to approve the special called minutes for the meeting on February 20th, dealing with zoning approval.
This is Mary Johnson. I second the motion.
Roll call, Sherry McClintock,
Yes.
Jimmy Wolliver,
Yes.
Mary Johnson,
Yes.
Doris Arthur.
Yes.
All four in favor, Scotty.
Yes, ma'am.
The next item we have is the approval of the canceled March meeting, which was due to us not having a quorum last month.
This is Mary Johnson. I move to approve the cancel meeting in March because of not having a quorum.
This is Sherry McClintock. I second.
Roll call, Sherry McClintock,
Yes.
Jimmy Wolliver,
Yes.
Mary Johnson,
Yes.
Doris Arthur.
Yes.
All four in favor, Scotty.
Yes, ma'am.
Next, we have the approval for the sidewalk expenses. Did everybody receive a
Can you
copy?
little bit on that?
I can address that a little bit, Mayor, if it's okay.
Yes, please.
David Robinson Construction had the bid for our sidewalk project. And he contacted me while his guys were in the process of getting this section ready to work and to repair. There was a small section that was in between two of the sections that Scott and I had outlined. And because of the way that those fit together there, he said that he would recommend going ahead and repairing that while he had the equipment, while he had the guys there. And it was a judgment call that I had to make, which I do have the authority to do that. But it was a lot better having him to go ahead and do that then instead of having to bring the equipment back, which would have cost a lot more money. But since it was over the original bid, I did feel like I wanted to go ahead and have it on the record that for the board to approve that. So that's the additional $555 for that section.
Okay, this is Doris Arthur, and that came to a grand total of $22,261.60, and I can't see that last number, but I do move to approve that sidewalk expense.
This is Sherry McClintock. I second.
Okay, roll call, Sherry McClintock,
Yes.
Jimmy Wolliver,
Yes.
Mary Johnson,
Yes.
Doris Arthur.
Yes.
All four in favor, Scotty.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, next we have to discuss the vacancy on the Planning Commission board. Is there names that have been brought forward to board members?
Yes, ma'am. I have two names that were given to me. One is Beth Vick and the other is John Luna.
Okay. And this is my decision to appoint to the board, correct?
I would refer to Billy Osterman on that.
Yes, Madam Mayor, it is. I'm sorry, I was having to unmute my computer.
Okay. At this time, I know John Luna had served in the past and actually had to step down when he was deployed. He still is interested. I'm excited we have two people. I wish we could add another position to this. I do feel like with him having to leave before to be deployed, that I put him back in this position, and then if he could not fulfill or attend meetings, then we will at that time address Beth Vick and see if she's still interested.
Okay, thank you. I will record that and get back. I will get in touch with John and let him know.
Okay, thank you. The next item on the agenda is to
Madam
discuss.
Mayor,
Yes.
I would like to just interject that appointment was made pursuant to the town ordinance creating the Municipal Planning Commission. There are, the short answer I gave was yes, this was your appointment to make, but there are different positions on the commission according to that ordinance. One is the mayor, one is a member of the Board of Mayor and Aldermen who is selected by the Board of Mayor and Aldermen. And then there are 3 additional positions, and those 3 positions are appointed by the mayor, and that's one that you have just filled.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to the next item is to discuss the audit contract, which was resolution 20-260, which I will go ahead and read that. Resolution number 20-260, a resolution of the town of Cornersville to appoint John Poole as the town auditor for the fiscal year 2019-2020. Whereas the state of Tennessee requires the town of Cornersville, Tennessee, to have an audit annually. Now therefore be it enacted by the Board of the Mayor and Aldermen of the town of Cornersville, Tennessee, as follows. Section 1. John Poole is authorized to perform an audit for the fiscal year 2019-2020 on all funds belonging to the town of Cornersville at a cost of $3,200. Section 2. If any section, clause, provision, or portion of this resolution is for any reason declared invalid or unconstitutional by any court or competent jurisdiction, such holding shall not affect any other section, clause, provision, or portion of the resolution that is not itself invalid or unconstitutional. Section 3. This resolution shall take effect on the 2nd day of April 2020 upon final passage, the public welfare requiring it.
Mayor, can I speak?
Yes, please.
I went ahead and drafted the ordinance based on, the resolution based on previous ordinances that we had. It's still the board's decision to appoint John Poole. He has been the auditor for the last 15 years, and his price has been $2,900 the entire time. So this is the first time that he has had a price increase in 15 years.
This is Doris Arthur, and I make the motion that we keep John Poole. He's been good for the last several years and always done a good job on resolution 2260, and keep him for the coming year.
This is Sherry McClintock. I second that motion.
Okay, roll call. Sherry McClintock,
Yes.
Jimmy Wolver,
Yes.
Mary Johnson,
yes,
Doris Arthur.
Yes.
All 4 in favor, Scotty.
Yes, ma'am.
Next, we have to discuss the garbage contract. Scotty, will you give us a little bit of information on that, please?
Yes, ma'am. Our garbage contract that we're currently working in is the last of the 5-year contract that we've had with United Waste Haulers of Tennessee. They've done an outstanding job. Of course, no one's perfect, but they've done an outstanding job, and I highly recommend them. The owner of the company, Mike Papineau, he contacted me and offered to make an extension for the town if it was legal, and the town wanted to do that. He said that he would continue with a 2-year contract with a no price increase to our residents if we wanted to extend it for 2 more years. And we brought that up before. We turned that over to Billy Osterman for his expertise, and I would just allow Billy to expound on that a little bit.
Yes, after being requested, I looked into the matter. Our town ordinance recites that we have adopted the municipal purchasing law of 1983, and that has a TCA section that lists advertising and bidding exceptions for when a municipality would not have to obtain bids. And there are no exceptions to the bidding process that apply to basically an extension of the contract. And I believe the reason being for that is there could be some new company that has now come into the area who would like to bid. And if we just go through and extend the contract without opening up a bidding process, then they would be cut out from that. I do agree with Scotty that it would be beneficial to the town if we could extend it for a number of years without having a price increase, but unfortunately, I could find no exception to the advertising and bidding requirements that would allow us to do that. Now, that being said, if the board decided to extend the contract anyway, from what I've seen, it looks like the only recourse another company would have is to come after the town and try to pursue damages based upon them not getting to bid for the job. Now, with all of that being said, I think Scotty had told me at one time that this is normally a 5-year contract, where right now we're looking at, they've offered a 2-year extension. Obviously, it would probably make more sense if bidding opened up, to open it again for another 5-year period, to at least get a rate locked in for 5 years. But that's a fiscal decision, so that would be entirely up to the board how long they choose to request bidding for.
And Doris, with discussion, that makes good sense to me for the 2 years. If something went wrong, we could change in less than a 5-year period. I think they've done a good job. I haven't heard anybody that complained about it, very much so. And that's my opinion. It's not a motion.
Madam Mayor, may I say something?
Yes, please.
What I basically need is if the board wishes to extend the contract 2 years, then I would need a motion, a second, and a majority to extend it. If the board chooses not to do that, then I need a motion from the board to give me the authority to put a bid in the newspaper to advertise for new bidders for sealed bids to be open at the May meeting.
Scotty, this is Mary. Would we need a resolution, the resolution 20-261?
If we extend it, I think we would need a resolution to do that. We need to get Billy's expertise on this, but that would be the number if we extended it and we needed it. It would be 20-261.
Well,
I would absolutely.
go
I'm
ahead,
sorry.
Jeff.
I would absolutely recommend doing that by ordinance, and I'm sorry, by resolution, not ordinance. Do it by resolution and include language in there. If the board chooses not to advertise it for bidding, I would include that language in the resolution. So there's no doubt that Scotty was following the wishes of the board when he extended the contract for the 2 years.
Well, this is Mary. I would move that to extend the contract for 2 more years to the United Waste Haulers of Tennessee, and not have to advertise in the newspaper for the 2 weeks, and move to make resolution 20-261.
Okay, roll call, Sherry McClintock,
Yes.
Jimmy Wooliver,
Yes.
Mary Johnson,
Yes.
Doris Arthur.
Yes.
All in favor, Scotty.
Yes, ma'am.
The next item we have is to discuss the employee insurance. Has everyone had a chance to look over the information that's been given?
Scotty, how have our employees felt about the current insurance?
Well, currently we do have the Blue Cross Blue Shield, and it has done a good job. Of course, we're a small group, so the smaller your group, the higher your premiums are going to be. Obviously, the insurance is done well, and there are several options that they did give us. Unfortunately, as a small group, if you do the renewal, then obviously it's going to go up, increase. But on the downside, the plans that are of a lower nature, employees' out-of-pocket expenses really escalate from your 20% co-pays all the way up to 40 and 50. And then well, one of them actually goes up to 100%. And then your out-of-pocket costs escalate from 5,500, which is what we got right now, 5,500 in individual, 11,000 for a family. That goes all the way to 6,000 up to 6,650. One of them is at 6,850 for an individual. So it goes from 5,500 to 6,850. But it is on behalf of the employees, we certainly do appreciate the fact that we do have insurance. It's a very big positive, very big incentive to work. A lot of other municipalities, they may pay higher wages, but their insurance package is not as good. So on our side, our wages may be lower, but the insurance package is better. So our employees definitely feel that with our insurance package, that is a very big incentive for us, and we highly appreciate it. And it's something that the board has done for the employees ever since I was hired back in 2005. They actually did it before I got there. So we want to thank the board members currently and the board members in the past for looking out for the employees.
Scotty, this is Sherry, or anybody else that can answer this. Do copays figure into out-of-pocket expenses?
Yes, ma'am. They figure into that, and it takes a while to actually get up to that amount. And most of the time, with the way a small group is, the individual package is so high that an individual has to pay out a whole lot just to get up to that. They usually have to have something, more than just going to the doctor with allergies or sinuses or flu or something. So it does help out.
Scotty, this is Melissa. I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Because I know since I've served on the board, Cornersville has always done their own insurance, medical insurance. Have we ever looked at piggybacking off of the back of the county, or is that something that's always been kept separate?
I think that there in the past that there were some people that had looked into this. Now I actually talked to one of our representatives with the town's insurance, which was TML at the time, and one of the individuals with them, we could maybe, if we were in a group, possibly piggyback there as well, but their insurance was higher than our insurance. And I actually think that our insurance compared to some of the others is very good. I don't know that it would be any better. Our insurance does run out at the end of this month. So that's the reason it is on the agenda, so that whatever plan we have can begin on May 1st.
Just curious if we looked into that.
I think that was looked into at some point in the past prior to me being town administrator, but I can't confirm that for sure.
This is Sherry. I'm going to make a motion that we accept the renewal, the second column on the insurance booklet page.
What page are you on, Sherry?
It's not numbered, Mary.
It's
Oh.
first page after the tab that reads medical proposal.
Oh, okay.
And it'll show current in the first column in green, then it'll show renewal in the dark blue. And then as far as dental and short-term disability, they both stay the same, correct?
Yes, ma'am. Dental stays the same and it renews each year. The short-term disability that we have, the premiums only go up when the individual's age increases and their salary increases. So that's when we see the increase on that. So we try to calculate that so that it's figured in our budget for those increases.
This is Mary. I'll second it.
Okay, roll call. Sherry McClintock,
Yes.
Jimmy Wooliver,
Yes.
Mary Johnson,
Yes.
Doris Arthur.
Yes.
All in favor.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, the next item is to discuss the bids for the fire hall repair. Which, Scotty, if you want to go ahead and kind of update,
Yes, ma'am.
please.
Yes, ma'am. The storm that we had a little over a month ago, it did a lot of damage down to the fire hall. It buckled the metal away from the framing, which you can see it from the outside, but it buckled it all away from the support beams on the inside. And then it damaged a lot of our shingles at the top and damaged some of our roof so much to the point that we actually had water leaking into the fire hall bay, which you can see now that Scott had to go buy one of those large tarps, and he has got that attached to the roof on that side right now. Now, the bid that we have, that you have in front of you, the adjuster came out, looked over that, and I thought he gave us a pretty fair estimate on that. But that covers the replacement of the metal wall, and it covers two sides of the roof. Now, that roof, I went back and looked, that roof was put on originally in 2001. So we're well into the situation where we actually need a new roof. Scott has been up on the roof several times. We've actually hired Larry Roberts several times to go back up there and repair shingles that were blown off. But in Scott's estimate, since he's been on the roof, he actually says that we actually should consider, with the age of the roof and the damage that's up there, having the whole roof redone. What I actually need is I need two approvals. I need one approval for the adjuster so I can contact him back to accept the estimate that he put forward. And of course, we do have a $5,000 deductible, the town does. And then if that's okay and we go that route, then I do need a motion to have the authority to put it in the newspaper for 2 weeks to accept sealed bids to repair the metal wall and to replace the entire roofing. shingles up there and have that sealed bids to be open at the May meeting.
And if I may, before we get a motion on the table, Scotty, have you spoken with anyone to get an estimate on what the repair would cost? Or is Scott familiar enough with it to give some idea? Because once we move to accept the adjuster's claim or the payout, then that's all that we're able to get. If we find out that it's actually a $30,000 job, if you've accepted the payout from the insurance company, you can't go back and get more later.
Yes, sir. I understand that. No, sir, have not contacted. This is the town's insurance, public entity partners. This is all that they're going to pay. So we may get somebody else that says that it's going to cost X number of dollars to do, but this is all the insurance is going to pay us.
Well, that can be contested. It's not a take it or leave it deal. If we find out that it is a $30,000 job, then of course you would appeal the amount that the adjuster quoted and try to get the additional funds from the insurance company. That's why he's wanting the acceptance from you, because once they get that acceptance, they cut the check and that's all they're going to pay out. At this point right now, it can be adjusted if it needs to be, but there would have to be a reason to do so. Like it's actually a $30,000 job as opposed to $17,000. And Scott may know enough about roofing and what the cost is going to be to say this is an appropriate amount. And if Scott has that knowledge and makes the recommendation, then I have no reason not to go along with it. I just want to make sure as the legal counsel that the town doesn't go forward and accept that payout and then later realize that they may need more.
Exactly. I understand that and agree 100%. Now, Scott, he read over the same information that you have. I did give that to him. He did not tell me that he thought that was low. He didn't tell me that he thought it was extremely generous either. But he did make it clear to me that he thought that whatever the town did, that we should repair the whole roof. And it may cost twice that much to do the whole roof. I have no doubt. But Billy, that's a question that I can't answer. And we can put this off if you want to, but this is something that we was going to look at earlier, and we were not able to. So as you see, the email goes back to March the 9th.
So this is Sherry. So what is the harm in putting this job out for bids right now and then making a decision on how much or what we want to do exactly?
Well, from the info, you have the same email that I have, and I did go back and call the adjuster after the water was coming into the fire hall. When he gave us the bid, there was no water coming into the fire hall. The roof was just damaged as far as the shingles and the side of the building, and that's all the adjuster could look at, and that's all he saw. But at that last storm that we had, the one is just the hard rain where we got over 2 inches the other week or so ago. That's when it started leaking into the fire hall, and that's when Scott went and got the roof tarp. There again, this is uncharted territory for us, having to deal with something on this large a scale and actually having to deal with the insurance itself. I just do know that you have the information that I have. I did call the adjuster back and told him that now we do have water that is leaking in there. And he would not come down and give another estimate. He said that is a generous estimate that he's given, and that's the estimate that he was going to stick with. And he said that he could not, obviously, when you take shingles off the roof, there's no one that knows what kind of damage lies underneath it until you actually get the shingles off the roof. He doesn't know that. Scott doesn't know that. I don't know that either until you actually get them off. You may have, if somebody's a roofer, they may be able to take off some and get an idea. Obviously, they're a professional, but that's out of my wheelhouse there. Doris, we can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry. Are you saying that it's causing more damage as time goes on? The longer we wait, the more damage we're going to have?
Well, that's a good question. That's an unknown. But I do think now that Scott has the tarp up there, it is providing a better protection than what we had, and we're not seeing the water coming down in there like we were seeing it. I don't know. A leaky roof is one of those unknowns. It may be leaking in one location, the water may be coming in a different location. Those are facts. Just because of where it's leaking at doesn't mean that's where it's coming in, because it could come in down a rafter somewhere else.
Yeah.
But I don't want to delay too much, because I am worried about potential rafter damage, potential insulation that could be damaged, and I just don't know. Those are all unknowns for us.
I feel with the damage we had, and we've had one storm right after another, that we could have a storm that would tear it up even worse if we don't get it fixed.
It is possible. I'm not familiar with how much a roof of this size is going to cost. Obviously, 19 years after it's been put on, most of your insurance companies are going to say that your roof's going to have to be replaced in 15 years if you're going to get any type of money from them. I do know people that has had roofs 17, 18 years and had damage, and insurance not give them anything. But I actually had damage on my roof, and I've got a good insurance carrier, and they came and looked at it. This has been a few years ago. We had to end up replacing the whole roof. As a matter of fact, Larry Roberts was the contractor that I hired. The roof had been up there for 17 years and 18 years, I think. And the insurance would only give me a very minimal amount of money. But that's just the way it works, because the life of the roof.
The guys probably have more of a better opinion of that than I, possibly Jimmy. But I feel that we need to go ahead and do that, but I'm still not making a motion as of yet.
Well, obviously, Billy brought up some great points, and I just don't have answers to those. If the board wishes, then I can entertain bids, but I'm going to have to tell the adjuster something, and I'm not sure what I need to tell him. It is just up to the board.
Does Billy really have an opinion on this? I know he gave us his opinion in a way, but does he really have an opinion that we need to wait?
Well, was she asking me? I couldn't hear the name she said.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Okay. The only drawback that could come now, like Scotty said, there's two separate issues here. One is accepting the insurance adjuster's payout from the insurance company, and then the other issue is requesting bids to repair the fire hall. The only drawback from going ahead and accepting the payout from the insurance company is that if later on it's determined that insurance adjuster's estimate was really low, there's nothing you can do about it. When you accept that payment from your insurance company, that settlement in full, it's over and done with. The insurance company has no more liability. So
Yes, I understood that from what you said before.
now
I'm afraid I'm not learned enough on what things cost and things of this to go ahead with the motion, but I do think we need it done. Maybe Jimmy would have a better opinion than I.
yes, I'm like Scotty. I have no idea what it would cost to replace that roof. And it could be a $12,000 job and the town comes out way ahead. And that would not surprise me because, like I said, I have no idea what it would cost. I just have to make sure that 6 months down the road, if there's some unseen damage and then the town wants to get more money out of the insurance company and find out they can't, they're going to go to their attorney and say, why didn't you tell us this might happen? So I'm not necessarily suggesting that this be delayed in order to have time to do that, because the other consideration, like Scotty said, is the tarp is on there that's given a decent temporary fix, but the longer you rely on that tarp, the less likely that tarp is going to keep the water out. And the water coming into the building, that absolutely can increase the damage. I don't have to know anything about roofs to know that that would happen.
Well, this is Doris, and I'd like to have somebody else's opinion on this. I do feel we need to go ahead and get this done due to damage that may come more. We've had so many storms and probably gonna have more. And I'd like to hear somebody else's opinion on the board besides mine. I feel, I'm not making a motion, but I feel we really should go ahead and finish this up and probably accept the estimate so Scotty can continue on with this.
Can I say something, Madam Mayor?
Yes, please.
I do want everybody to keep in mind that this estimate is just for 2 sides of that roof. So if we're talking 2 more sides, that total price could easily double. It may or it may not. And I do want us to keep in mind that right now the town does have the money to take care of that. I do want the board to keep in mind that during these difficult times related to the coronavirus, I'm sure everyone has been hearing on the news about Governor Lee talking about and getting towns to prepare for having to amend your budget because of the low amount of sales tax dollars that's going to be coming in, because a lot of these businesses are being hurt a lot. And of course, our businesses in Cornersville have been hurt a lot because of this, but ours are not going to be hurt as much as some of them in bigger cities. They've got larger budgets, but they also losing larger amounts of sales tax dollars. Our sales tax dollars will be down in this budget year, which will affect the budget. So I'm not sure how that's going to relate for next year, but I do think that now we do have money in the budget to take care of that. If we're going to take care of it, now would be a good time. I do think that the board needs to evaluate what Billy has said and to look at the numbers that we have and just to let me know what you want to do.
This is Melissa. I want to just bring up point 2. With the building being damaged, we also want to protect what's inside of that building, and we don't want any more damage to anything else besides what we already have.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and make this a motion to accept this, and if the other board members don't agree, there just won't be a second. If nobody else will make an opinion on it, I'm going to go ahead and make that motion.
This is Mary. I'll second.
Go ahead, Mary.
I'll second the motion.
This is Sherry. I'm not sure what it is that we are accepting.
To accept the estimate that was given to Scotty on getting this done.
From the insurance company.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, did everybody hear that?
Yes.
I'm going to go through and do a roll call vote. Sherry McClintock,
Yes.
Jimmy Wooliver,
Yes.
Mary Johnson,
Yes.
Doris Arthur.
Yes.
All 4 in favor, Scotty.
Yes, ma'am.
Next item we have to discuss is the
Madam Mayor,
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry to interrupt you there. I do need a motion from the board to allow me to go ahead and place the bid in the newspaper for 2 weeks so that we can get sealed bids for the repair.
This is Sherry. I make a motion that we allow Scotty to advertise in the newspaper for 2 weeks to accept sealed bids to replace the metal siding and the sections of the roof.
Morris, I second it.
Now, before, Mayor Peters, before we have a vote on that, is this going to be to replace or repair those sections or for the entire roof?
I would recommend making the motion to put the bid in the paper to accept bids to replace the entire roof. One of the points that Scott brought out and one of the things that Mayor Peters said a few minutes ago, of course, the roof's been there 19 years. And if we just replace 2 sections, it could be very likely that we have an additional damage through the other sections. And then we have to get that done. But there again, with water, we may replace 2 sections and that water could be coming in from another place and causing maybe even back damage to the areas that we just replaced.
Okay, this is Sherry again. Please allow me to amend that motion to say that we want bids, sealed bids to replace the metal siding and the entire roof.
I
Okay,
second
this is
that.
Doris, and I will go ahead and second that.
I had 2 people there at one time, Mayor. I'm not sure
Let
who had the
Doris do
second.
it.
Okay, we'll go with Doris Arthur. That was the last one that came through clearer to me.
Okay.
Okay, and then we'll move on to roll call. Sherry McClintock,
Yes.
Jimmy Wolver,
Yes, ma'am.
Mary Johnson, Doris Arthur.
Yes.
All 4 in favor, Scotty.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, next item is to discuss the swing set for the playground.
Mayor, can I speak on that?
Yes, please.
I would just make a motion to wait till next month. I'd like to get somebody just to table this to next month and discuss this. Right now with coronavirus going on, we certainly don't want to increase any potential gatherings. And I think this could be something that we want to look at later down the road.
This is Mary. I move.
This is Doris, and I make the motion to table this until our next meeting, which shall be in May.
This is Mary. I second the motion.
Roll call, Sherry McClintock,
Yes.
Jimmy Wolver,
Yes.
Mary Johnson,
Yes.
Doris Arthur.
Yes.
All 4 in favor, Scotty.
Yes, ma'am.
Next item we have is to discuss the revisions to the zoning regulations. I know Scotty I had been approached by some of the members on the planning commission that have put tremendous hard work and time into this zoning. And I do know they've gotten to a point, which is actually section 5 out of I don't know how many pages. And this is dealing with the breakdown of the C1, C2, or industrial and residential. When you look at the chart, I don't know if Doris, do you want to give some input on this? Where I've talked to some of the members and they feel like they're kind of stuck.
Okay, yes, Melissa, this is Doris. Because we worked on this, we've been working on it over a year, probably close to 2 years. And when we got to this, we felt like that we should probably adopt the one that we already had. But we had changed most of it and we did not know the lawful part of this. So I actually talked to Judy this morning, Judy Stewart, who is over our planning commission, and asked her if she thought that that would be a good thing to do, to go ahead and keep the ones that we previously had in our zoning booklet that we have had before. We used some of our zoning things in the booklet that we had. We also used some from Lewisburg that we thought would make ours better. We didn't use all of ours or all theirs. We combined them. So go ahead and keep what we had because we're gonna, as the paper says, gonna have new mapping. And if this needs to be changed a little later on, we can do that. If there was something wanting to come in, that we thought needed to have something done, we could do this in the future. So right now, my suggestion would be to keep what we had and get this thing finished up. We've been working on it for so long.
So when you say keep what we had, you're referring to the sections that we already have coded on our previous map.
Yes, and it's also the same because I looked at the booklet back, and I'm sure Scotty had the same thing in this. That was what was in our old zoning, and it is exactly, he probably took it out of it, that was in our zoning previously, and it will just be added to our new zoning. As is.
So I guess my question is, so if we do that and keep it the same, then we just need to update the graph that's in section 5 of the new zoning. Is that correct?
Well, I don't know that it'll have to be updated. It would just have to be added in with ours when it's finished up because it's exactly the same thing. And Judy Roberts is the one that typed all this up, and she'll just have to type it into our new zoning regulations notes as is, and it will not say old regulation or whatever. It will just be what will be included in our new zoning.
Madam Mayor, can I ask a question?
Yes, please.
I am a little bit confused there, Doris. I just want to make sure I understand it correctly. Are we going to keep in our zoning, the pamphlet, the information that I gave you
Yes.
shows what we currently have.
Yes.
We currently have low density residential, medium, high density residential, and then we have
Yes.
2 areas that are commercial.
Yes.
And the 2 areas that are commercial are basically from Spencer's Market down to Jesse's Garage at Cornersville Diesel Garage.
Yes.
And that's general commercial, central business. And then highway commercial is everything else from Dollar
Yes.
General, Quick Mart, exit 22 area, exit 27 area.
Yes.
Now, the concern that I had in the new information that was given to me was that in that information is, and I gave that to you, to the board, it has 4 areas that are commercial. And we only have 2 areas that are commercial. So I just want to make sure when I make my notes, are we going to just put everything that we have into our current 2 areas, or are we extending it to 4 areas?
Well, would that map have to be changed if that was extended beyond this? Isn't that what this is saying?
Yes, ma'am. That map would have to be extended. It would have to be, we would have to hire some type of a
Yes.
planning or architectural firm to,
Yes. Well,
to
I'm
redo.
saying to leave it exactly like it is and not change any of it. So the mapping won't have to be changed. And then in the future, if something comes up, it can still be amended and changed, is my understanding.
Well, what I'm saying is the information that we have that has been given to us will have to be changed. All of those zonings will have to be configured into our zoning, not currently what we have printed up.
No, it will be what was printed up in our own zoning, in our old zoning.
You just going to apply the new zoning to the old zoning to the new zoning guidelines for everything
Yes.
else?
Yes, it will be what was in exactly what was in our old zoning. And use it. So won't any mapping have to be changed or anything really have to be changed? Because we weren't experts on this at all and didn't know how to really change it legally. So we decided that this would be probably the best to do. And this is what we understood. And what I talked to Judy about this morning, she said just leave it as originally and use all the same original planning.
And Scotty, what will have to happen is the working draft that we have of the new ordinance will have to be changed to put the prior zoning back into it. But it's not just a pull and plug, because there's also places throughout the ordinance that reference the C1, C2 different zoning areas. So the whole document will have to be revised so that it doesn't conflict against itself.
Yes, sir. That was my confusion. That was why I was questioning that, because there is a lot of language through there, and those extended differences in the zoning will have an effect if we don't change it.
Yes, well, will you meet with one of our planning commission members, Judy or whoever, to get this changed?
Well, that would be something Billy would have to go through that document and point out, like he did before, all of those areas where that would affect it. Am I correct, Billy?
Yeah, and I haven't looked through it looking for that, but I assume that it's just anywhere that there's a reference to C1, C2, or any of those abbreviations, then you have to make sure that, one, it doesn't reference a zone that we don't have. And if it says C1, you just have to make sure that it's the same C1 that we have.
Exactly.
Okay. Well, how do we want to make this motion for that to be done? Because that's what we weren't qualified to do.
Well, at this point, there's no motion to come from the board because the planning commission is still revising the ordinance. And when they get through with it, they will present it to the board for approval.
Okay, all right. So this will be, am I correct on this, is that we need to hand this to you to do that?
To redraft the ordinance?
To fix this correctly, yes. No, just what needs to be changed on this zoning regulations notice that was in our old book to fit the new.
Yeah, either if the board wants me to take that on and do it, I can, or the planning commission can handle it like they have the drafting up to this point. Obviously, if the
Okay,
planning
maybe
commission.
Scotty, could you do this?
No, ma'am. This is going to take a lot more expertise than me, because I mean, it's going to take somebody that's going to be able to go back and look through that. And that's why, if you remember back a few months ago, we had the draft and Billy went through there and he looked at that and he gave the board a list of changes that needed to be made.
Yes.
So in the same respect, I feel like that Billy was able to do that, then he would be able to be doing the same thing here.
Okay. All right. Well, that's exactly what we needed done because we weren't qualified to do it.
Well, and Billy, when he does this, it does take a lot of time, and it's not cheap. It's something that he has to charge for. He has to charge for his time, and it has to be done. But it's going to be far cheaper to allow our own attorney to go through this when he's already been through a lot of it and is familiar with it than it would be to hire an additional firm to come in here and do that. I think I'm in agreement with what Billy had said earlier. We need to be able to look at it so that each one of them matches up differently, because I certainly don't want to give a zoning compliance letter to somebody that should not be given just because the wording is wrong.
Okay. Well, we struggled with all this, and this is one thing that we came to that we felt like that we just could not really do anything with.
Okay, so at this point, it's taking, I'm sorry, this is Melissa, the old zoning and placing it in that section 5 and then sorting back through the rest of the document and making sure the references match up.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that
Yes.
correct? So Doris, is this something that the planning commission can go ahead and get put back in there? And at least go through and try to correct that, then we can send a new rough draft to Billy to look over, to approve?
Well, I suppose we could, but Scotty, couldn't we just give him this zoning regulations that we have, like this paper that you made out for us, and then go from there to the board, because we feel like this is what we need to do?
Billy has a copy of our current zoning regulations. And if that's the wishes of the board to do that, then that would be something I think he could look into, but there again.
Yeah,
Billy
I don't
is,
think we'd have to come back to us first.
I would just reference back to Billy to see what he thinks the best segue of that would be.
Yes, because we've done all we know to do to it.
Yeah, well, I don't know that I've received another revision after the changes that I recommended. So if there's still changes to be made other than this request to plug in our old zoning or our old C1, C2 designations, it would still need to go back to the planning commission for their approval, because
Okay.
I'm going to have to go through in different places of the document and probably change some language. And
Okay.
the planning commission are the one that's recommending it to the board for passage. So they would need to review the final draft. And then
Okay.
that gets
That sounds good to me.
Okay.
Okay, so what kind of motion do we need here? Just a
Uh,
motion to turn this over to Billy to go through it and do what he needs to do, and then turn it back to the planning commission before it's finalized.
I would just request a motion from the board approving me to do that work for the planning commission, and that should be sufficient.
Okay. Scotty, do you think this is what you're needing also, and this will meet what you feel like needs to be done also?
Yes, ma'am. I think that'd be the best way to go. That way that the town hall would know exactly how to approve zoning requests, and we would have that in writing. Judy has done a great job of typing all this up, and she presented me with that newest document, which is where I didn't get to go through the whole document, but I did find this section in here about the zoning. So I have that document, and I can make sure and get that to Billy and allow him to do what he thinks it needs to be done before it goes back to the planning commission and then back for.
And we did send that back to you where we changed that 10-foot variance on each side to 15. Did she give that back to you, because that was an oversight that we had? And you saw that, she turned that back into you, that we had that meeting on that, right?
I don't have that newest information, but
we did have the meeting on that, and that was an oversight on our part, and so we did change that back to 15, I believe.
15 on the side boundaries.
Variance on side yard.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right. Okay, I will make the motion, Doris, to approve Billy Osterman to go through this and then turn it back into the planning commission for a finalization on this zoning regulation notes.
This is Sherry. I second that motion.
Okay, roll call. Sherry McClintock,
Yes.
Jimmy Wolver,
Yes.
Mary Johnson,
Yes.
Doris Arthur.
Yes.
All four in favor, Scotty.
Yes, ma'am.
The next and last item we have on the agenda tonight is other business. Scotty, do you have any other business to share?
I just want to share with the board that the 2018 property taxes that are delinquent, it is the time to turn those over to the clerk and master's office. The board had originally appointed Billy Osterman as the delinquent tax attorney. I did go through those delinquencies. I did turn that over to Billy, and he has that information, and I think it's filed that. We had a total of $2,549 base amount that was delinquent, and then with the penalty, it's a little over $3,000 with the penalty. So the amount, the number of parcels were down a little bit. And, I appreciate Billy's work on that. It's a lot of work going through and getting that submitted to the clerk and magistrate. So thank you, Billy.
Absolutely. And just so the board knows, that was filed with the court yesterday. And some of it will be going out to be served through the sheriff's department, and some will be served by certified mail. Obviously, all the delinquent tax accounts from the county, Cornersville, Lewisburg, and Chapel Hill all get filed at the exact same time. So the clerk and master's office right now is bombarded with that, and it will take a couple of weeks to finally get the service of process out, but that process has been started.
Scotty, do you have any other business?
No, ma'am.
Billy, do you?
No, ma'am.
Does any of the board members?
Doris,
No?
no.
No.
Well, I just want to say thank you to everybody. I know this is a big change. Lots of things going on, and I want to thank Scotty for getting this all put together. Billy helping, and everybody's patience. I think it went very well for our first time.
Thank you,
So-
Melissa.
At this time, I will need a motion to adjourn.
This is Sherry. I move we
I
adjourn.
moved to adjourn.
I'm gonna
I
say,
think-
I'm gonna say we go with Sherry McClintock for the motion, Doris for the second. Was that correct, who I heard?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Roll call, Sherry McClintock,
Yes.
Jimmy Wooliver,
Yes.
Mary Johnson,
Yes.
Doris Arthur.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, everybody. Stay healthy.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
I don't know how this is going, but thank you.